I was drinking a smooth pale ale from a local microbrewery here in Austin, and it tasted good enough that it had me instantly thinking about how I could get the stuff into Styx, the bar I ran from my club, the Charon MC, back in Bridgewater. Sure is. Tell me, boys, is there anything better than a nice cold beer after a long day's ride? In his late 50s, Bulldog was the oldest of the brothers who had come on this run, and the club's VP. Tiny was the youngest, at 29, while Bank and I were in our 30s. I'm sure we made an odd-looking group with such a broad range of ages, but we were all wearing our club colors and looked rough as hell after spending the last 4 days on the road, so I guess we didn't look all that different, really. I scratched at the scruff growing over my jaw as I focused for a moment on Tiny's full beard, wondering if I should grow mine out further. For most of my life, I'd kept my face clean-shaven, but these last few months, I'd found myself letting my scruff grow out more often than not. It wasn't like I had an old lady at home who cared one way or the other, and the club whores didn't give a shit what a brother looked like. The sweet face of the only woman I'd ever truly wanted for an old lady flashed through my mind. It left me wincing and rushing to reach for my beer so I could take a large gulp. Refocusing on my brew, I pushed the memories of her back into the vault where I kept them locked down. I wasn't that lovesick, foolish teenager anymore, and I hadn't seen or heard from her since the day she vanished from my life all those years ago. Well, I'd say a warm bed with my old lady in it would be better, but since that ain't happening this evening, a cold brew ain't a bad way to end a day of riding. Tiny's comment gave me the distraction I needed to push past the melancholy thinking about her had caused, and I laughed easily with the others at his remarks. He and his old lady, Mercedes, only hooked up about 5 months ago, so we're still in the fuck-like-bunnies stage of things. Kinda envied the man that. Mercedes was a good woman. Give me a nice cold drink any day of the week, brother. I hid my grimace behind my glass as I took another mouthful. That was Bank for you, bringing the mood down several notches with one line. The whole club knew his and his woman's relationship was a train wreck waiting to happen. I swore those two spent more time fighting than loving. So it didn't really surprise me he'd prefer liquor to her. Still, none of us ever knew what the fuck to say to him when he dropped comments like he'd just made. So, as per usual, I changed the damn subject and hoped he didn't bring it back up. Lifting my glass, I looked to Bulldog. What do you think about getting this one in at Styx? Bulldog gave me a serious nod. I think it would be a good move. Maybe bring in a few different craft beers from around the area. Microbreweries seem to be all the fucking rage at the moment. Might as well cash in on it if we can. My thoughts exactly, and I've been thinking on this shit for a while now. Actually, I've been thinking about a few different things we could try, like adding a beer garden to Styx. Have somewhere outside where folks can sit and relax with a drink. Bulldog's jaw clenched a moment, which I knew meant he was giving the idea some serious thought before he gave me another nod. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Cost that shit out and bring it to church so we can get it moving. The parking lot out back is bigger than we need, so we have the space. Loud laughter had me turning in my seat to see a group of women who'd just entered the bar. Everything within me froze as my gaze caught on one of them in particular, dressed like a retro pinup. She wore a high-waisted, skin-tight red skirt that went just below her knees with a slit that went about halfway up the middle of the front, giving me a glimpse of her stocking-clad thighs with every step she took. Her top was an equally tight, black button-up shirt that showed plenty of cleavage. It also revealed arms that were heavily inked. Quite simply, she was the hottest woman I'd ever seen. And she seemed vaguely familiar, but I couldn't think where I would have met her before. Trying to place where I knew her from, I kept my gaze on her as she moved with her group up to the bar and closer to where we sat in the back booth in the shadows. The low lights over the bar were brighter than elsewhere in the place, and when they shone on her, it reflected on the glossy sheen of her chestnut brown hair, making it stand out almost as much as the ink on her arms. Her face swung my way, and the breath caught in my throat as I knew exactly who she was. Fuck it all. It must have been nearly 20 years now since I'd last laid eyes on Cindy.